think I see him walking up. So let's go in and welcome him. Good morning, sir.
Hey, what's up, man?
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you having me.
You got it from here?
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
What's up, Fred?
Mi casa, su casa.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Sampson Levingston, the lover of Indiana history. I like to do things that I love, and I love to talk about Indiana history. I'm going to tell you why I do it, how I do it, and why I got to keep doing it now. Hold on now, just got here. I knew it on here. Okay. So a little bit about me. Wait a second. There we go. A little bit about me. I started walking and talking June 13th, 2020. The very first walk and talk, I'll get to that some more. Now, I didn't start walking and talking. I started doing other stuff. We'll get there. But every walk starts with a moment of silence for a role model of mine, an entrepreneur I looked up to, Chris Beatty. I dedicate all the walks on the avenue to him. And in front of this audience, I heard there's 300 people watching. We could have dual watchers. I don't know how we're tracking the numbers if we've got 5 on one computer. But whatever. We'll take a moment of silence for Chris Beatty, wherever you are. All right, let's roll. Now, Indianapolis didn't start as Indianapolis, right? Native Americans lived here. We're in Indiana. Know that. Let's roll. No, we're ready. We're ready to roll. Just so you guys know, if you've been on a walk and talk before, you know things happen. I like to be outside, so a truck might drive by. There may be a marathon running through, and we adjust. So sometimes the sound ain't right, and we keep rolling. Like I said, Indianapolis, Indiana. Indianapolis, Polish, Greek for city. We're in the city of the land of the Indians. We look at the Wapahani, the name that the Delaware gave our White River. Remember that there were people here before you were, and we appreciate them and all that they're doing. This is from my Newfields tour. What I did today, I took slides from all of my tours to tell one big story for you, a creative story in the morning. You feel what I'm saying? Newfields, I did a timeline. This blue represents before most people start talking about history. I like to go there. Now, like I said, I didn't start doing walk and talks. I wasn't born walking and talking. Be nice. Just like Indianapolis wasn't born with a monument right in the center. I went to Cathedral High School. This is me in the student section. I didn't play basketball there. I played football. Went on to play football, team captain, Indiana State. And that's actually my first play ever. I scored a touchdown in the back of the end zone in Bloomington. It's pretty cool. Now, talking about where I went to school and some of the things I liked. I love Indiana history. I've always loved it. I had great teachers. In college, I even took nothing but history electives when I could. Marketing major, but took nothing but history electives because those dates stuck to me. It's one big story, and that's what I'm trying to tell you today. It's all on one timeline. I'm careful not to say black history too much because it's all history. Careful not to say women's history too much, LGBTQ history too much, because it's all one timeline. And the more we flatten that out, the more we'll realize that and connect to those stories. Now, my classrooms looked a lot like this. This is Shortridge High School, okay, before Attucks opened. You see some black faces, not too many, but you see some. Now, the teachers would have been white. Most of my teachers were white. Now, when you're learning black history in a classroom with not too many black faces, it's going to affect some of the questions that you ask, your curiosity, how you think about that. It's going to cause you to want to seek more things that aren't taught you in that classroom because you don't want to ask them right there. This is what Shortridge High School looked like after Attucks opened. Segregation, right? Took all the black people out of there. Imagine learning history in this classroom. Imagine the questions that are asked. Imagine the thoughts that are brought up, the things the teachers are telling. Think about that. And the opportunity that was robbed from the people of Indianapolis by taking certain parts of history out of the textbook, out of the classroom, and deciding what you can opt in and opt out of. I like talking about history in a way that you can't opt out. It's one timeline, and we're linked together. And the more we realize that, the more we'll smoothen that out. Okay, now, Attucks was a great school. I would have loved to learn here. All black kids, all black teachers. Imagine how they're perceiving American history. The enthusiasm for Attucks was unbelievable because now you're going to hear the true history without skipping steps, without opting out, without rewriting what actually happened. Now, if you look at American history, you don't skip steps. You may realize that naming it all-black school after Thomas Jefferson is not a good idea. Indianapolis public school system wanted to do that because they must have opted out of part of Thomas Jefferson's history, right? If you opt all the way in, you'll know that you can't name a black school after this guy owned slaves. It's insane. So make sure you opt in and hear the full story. Now, like I said, I've always loved Indiana history. Like guys like James Whitcomb Riley. This is actually how I spent my birthday one year. Just drove to James Whitcomb Riley's home in Greenfield. I like meeting people where they are. There's not too much black history you find in Greenfield, but I go meet you where you are in Greenfield. I'll bring you right back to the avenue to hear what I got to say. I'll show this tour of New Fields. Timeline's moving on. See? I also learned about people. Madam C.J. Walker, I knew about her. I've always known about Madam C.J. In Indianapolis, Black History Month's interesting. You hear about Madam C.J., maybe. You might hear about Oscar. At least when I was a kid. Thinking about the teachers, the influences, what was taught, looking in that textbook. Showing more resources now than just that textbook. I learned about Madam C.J. I didn't truly understand her significance because they didn't paint the picture of what the hell she was doing, when she was doing it, and what the city was like at the time she was doing it. That's remarkable in itself. This photo's on West Street. It's one of my favorite ones. She's rich as hell. Beautiful black woman, all in the car, and she's driving. 1912, down West Street. I like to tell people she might have been going to church, Bethel AME Church. I would talk more about it, but I'd rather just take you there. So sit tight for me.
Yeah, what's up? We're at Bethel AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal. That's what AME stands for. It means black people go to church there. Now, this building right here, Bethel AME, it didn't start here on the Canal. It started on Georgia Street, okay? Before 1865, Bethel AME had a nickname. It was known as Indianapolis Station. It's a station on what railroad do you think? Think pre-1865. That's a critical year in American history. Pre-1865, Indianapolis Station. That's a stop on, you know, come on, I know you know. The Underground Railroad running right through here in Indianapolis. Underground Railroad plays a huge role in Indiana's history. Slaves, freedom seekers would cross the Ohio River, call it the Jordan. You go in that river, slave, come out a free man. That's right here in Indiana. Then you make your way not just to Indiana, but through Indiana on our Underground Railroad. This church sits right here on the Canal, the former church home of Madam C.J. Walker on West Street. It's now part of a hotel, so not the greatest example of historic preservation, but that's okay. Looking straight down the canal, this is the same water that runs through Butler University, through Newfields, through Broad Ripple. The canal is part of a failed project built in 1836 as we plan to connect all our cities across Indiana, especially because we moved our state capital to the middle of the land here, trying to get people to and from the place. Didn't quite work out so well. It goes underground now around 12th Street and pops back up at 16th and come on the tour and I'll tell you where to find it. Because it's pretty cool. It actually intersects with Fall Creek. There's like a water intersection that happens on the northwest side of the city. But this church is awesome. Black churches were huge pillars of the community. A lot of meetings there, a lot of conventions there, and a lot of energy there at the church. See y'all later.
All right. Welcome back. Now, why walk and talk? I like history, right? I like bringing people to the history, to the things that matter, the things that I weren't always taught about, and connecting the things that we were. My favorite places to walk, Martindale, around Frederick Douglass Park. First black park in the city opened up 1921. They get a pool in 1927. Here's the avenue. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the roads that cut through these areas. Now, we talked about addicts and the environment that was there. Champions. 1943, they were allowed to play. School opens in 1927. They don't get a chance to play till 1943. By 1955, they are the state champions. They wear these shoes. Led by the triple-double king himself, Oscar Robertson, here in Indianapolis. I like to drive to the avenue. I take Martin Luther King Street. I drive right by Crispus Attucks High School. I pass Oscar Robertson Boulevard, and I sit there at Madam C.J. Walker Theater, and I talk to people about stuff that's going on in our city. Now, Attucks beat Gary Roosevelt, okay? One of our city's all-black high schools, or one of our state's all-black high schools. They beat them 97-64. It's on the tag of the Attucks shoes here on the tongue. That was another black school. Either way, black kids would have came out on top. Now, my family, my history, my story in Indiana, it's in Mount Vernon. It's a small little southwestern city down by Evansville. Posey County, I love this place. Hold on, let me take this off real quick. Mount Vernon, Indiana is where I'm from. Where my family's from. I'm born here, but if you had to tell me a place that's home to me in Indiana, it's Mount Vernon. That's where I learned to walk and talk. Town's small enough, you walk around, you know everybody. You get a feel for the history that's there. It's not the blackest place, but we're there and we talk about it. We be where we, I like to say, be where your feet are and embrace the history that's right there. And every now and then you go walk and meet people where they're at. So I did Mount Vernon. I walked to my uncle's house, to my aunt's house. So tattoo of my mom here on the Ohio River. This river, part of the Underground Railroad. Underground Railroad running through Indiana, not to Indiana. If Indiana was so great, it would have stopped right when it got here. But it couldn't. It had to keep going. Because the things that were going on in our state continue going on in our state. When you talk about addicts and that basketball team that played, right? You're talking about high schoolers. Let's go back. Talking about school-age children. Deny the opportunity to play for 12 years. These are high schoolers now. History repeats itself. We look at things. Is there ever reason to ban a high schooler from playing any sport, doing anything they want to do, knowing as hard as high school is today now, the things and challenges that are facing kids each and every day, they want to rob joy from them for what? For what reason? So you can feel happy about yourself and rob that opportunity of joy from people? This was robbed from addicts. Over a decade, you can't play. And now we're trying to do the same thing to groups of people in 2022. Doesn't quite make sense to me. Now, when we're talking about Crispus Attucks High School, Gary Roosevelt, Mount Vernon, Indiana, my grandfather, black man, went to Evansville, Lincoln. Mount Vernon is not in Evansville. There was a high school in his city he could have walked to. He wasn't allowed to go there. They made him take the bus to Evansville, across the city, across the county, to school, and back across the city and across the county back home. Across the city, across the county, to school. City, county, back home. He was sick of that shit. He played baseball. He dropped out. I don't want to do that. There's a school I can walk to. I'll tell you a quick story. Fast forward, Halloween 2021. I get a tour group up. The city will sometimes reach out to me. People will say, like, hey, there's a tour. People want to see Indianapolis. They want you to lead them. So I do these one-off specialty tours. I had a group from Southwest Indiana. Remember where Mount Vernon is now. I get onto this bus full of white people, not a black person inside. I'm their tour guide. Start talking about my family. They know my grandfather. They know Carlton Waller. Tiny was his nickname. Talk about him playing baseball. I've never heard people talk about how great of a baseball player he was. I got chilled, teared up. These same people would have walked to school, rode a bus to school that my grandfather couldn't ride on. Same area, same town. They knew this man. Could not ride the bus with them. When you fast forward to 2021, they hop on a bus and his grandson is leading them around his hometown of Indianapolis. And that's why I do what I do when I do it. Now, these stories that I tell have led me to a lot of places. I seek for myself in history, okay? After Oscar graduates here, okay, he's going to go on to Cincinnati. I can do this jump. If you don't believe me, come on a tour. I start seeking myself in history. I don't go to the NBA when I'm done like Oscar. I come back home. I'm looking harder and harder for myself in history. I miss what I had playing sports. My teammates, mandatory. Go hang out with 100 of your best friends right now or get sent home. Deal. That's what I did. I missed that when I came back. So I look for more things to inspire me. Looking for young, creative black males who made their name in Indiana, in Indianapolis. Brought me to the avenue. This is the first time that I ever saw this photo. I brought my tripod, I took a picture of it. I was so amazed. It had been here for 7 years until I saw it. Saw this mural here, painted by Pamela Bliss. You don't know, Miss Bliss did a really sick John Seymour mural in, John Mellencamp in Seymour, Indiana. Now, I brought over 2,000 people to this exact same spot, and many for their first time. So they can look at that history and see how we're all included. Look for yourself in history, no matter what you are. Black, white, gay, straight, who cares? You're in Indiana's history, so look for it. There were things put in place to make you think that you do not belong here, and this history is not for you. There is no record of Indianapolis as a city without black people living in it. So our history is here, if you look. If you look. This is John Hope School 26. I'll talk about this here in a second. Now, same. You got to look for history. It's important. It's the Recorder. It's the oldest newspaper. Oldest black newspaper in the city of Indianapolis. The fourth oldest black newspaper still publishing in the country. Imagine, you know, there's people right now, they want to rip certain parts of our history out. Things that places like the Recorder we're talking about. For a long time, Indy Star didn't cover black people in the best light. We relied on newspapers like this. And still, people are trying to censor what you can hear, what you can see, what you can watch. That's silly, right? Now let's actually look at this newspaper. Talking about me and Martindale Brightwood. I like that. These stories I tell, Indianapolis had an appetite for this, and that's why I love this city so damn much. I started walking and talking, and people wanted it. It wouldn't have worked if people weren't interested and didn't have an appetite for this history that had been neglecting our city for so long. So I thank you, Indianapolis. Here's the Indianapolis Business Journal. Cool little feature in here I'll show you guys. Could have never imagined that'd be me. Indianapolis Business Journal. You know, people told me how to run a business, and look where I am in the Business Journal. Anyways, this is Christian Science Monitor. It's a national publication talking about me. Indianapolis Monthly. These are just a few of my favorite ones. March Madness, that was great. That led to probably one of my favorite ones. Show you. I was on NPR. Give me a second. This happens on the tour, you know, especially if I have gloves on and it's cold. So I gotta go bare hands. Now, I'm walking and talking. I'm getting these media features. Now, I only plan to do one walk and talk. It's the people of Indianapolis. It's the media that's gonna propel me to do more. I get a local TV interview. They're like, "When's the next walk and talk?" I'm like, "Holy shit, it's Saturday." We've had a lot more Saturdays, right? Now, where I met the lady from the walk and talk was here. Let me show you. John Hope School 26, black kids, black teachers, all black school here. All the kids would have went to Attucks or the Cathedral, maybe. That's where I am. Go Irish. Now, this is where I met her. School 26, 16th and Martindale Avenue, colored school. That's where I met the lady that put me on NPR. She loved the energy and enthusiasm that we brought to history. Energy and enthusiasm. I told you I like James Whitcomb Riley. Check this out. It's a quote from him. "The most essential factor is persistence. The determination never to allow your energy or enthusiasm to be dampened by the discouragement that must inevitably come. Energy and enthusiasm stays up. People respond to that. When you're excited about something, they listen to you." I would talk more about John Hope School 26, but easier if I just took you to Martindale instead. What's up? What's up? Yeah, we're in Martindale. Not Monon 16, Martindale, one of the oldest, richest black neighborhoods in the city of Indianapolis. Right behind me is John Hope School 26, one of the first public black schools for the kids here in Indianapolis, okay? We're here in the Martindale neighborhood. Almost all these kids that went to Hope 26 ended up going to Attucks because they had no other choice, right? Okay, now, all up and down through Martindale, over 300 churches. You can see the steeple from St. Rita's down there, opened up in 1919 as an extension of St. Bridget's, which was in the Avenue neighborhood. This road right here, filled with churches. It's named after Dr. Andrew J. Brown. That used to be called Martindale Avenue, renamed in 1986. Gotta be a pretty dope guy to get a road named after you while you're still alive, and Andrew J. Brown was that. He walked with Martin Luther King down in Selma, Alabama. Martin Luther King would come up to Martindale and stay with Dr. Andrew J. Brown while he was here. Now, one of the things that lets you know that you're in an old black neighborhood is when the interstate runs right through the middle of it. And that's what we have with I-70 running right through here behind me. Now, what was so important to Martindale? What held it together? I'll come show you on this wall over here. It was the churches, the community. Look at all these black people going to church. Held Martindale together, okay? One of the richest histories in our city. All right, here, we're on 16th Street. All right, we're back, man. I tell you, I meet people where they are. I travel all over the state of Indiana looking for history, trying to bring them, man, listen to stuff that they already like and tell them about stuff that I like. One of the places I went to was Fort Wayne, Indiana. Allen County Public Library, largest genealogy center in the world. I got real uncomfortable with history. My same grandfather, we traced his lineage back, 1719. The theme is freedom. In 1719, my 7 times great-grandfather was a free black man. He don't land in Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee. That's easy history to look at, right? That's comfortable, that's tough, makes you proud, makes you smile. I was happy. I remember looking like, dang, I knew one of us had to be free. We keep looking. 1808, see my great-grandfather times 5, sold from Maryland to Kentucky. Union County, Kentucky. I went on Facebook. I looked up the family that bought them. They still live there. That's uncomfortable. But once you get uncomfortable once, you're okay getting uncomfortable again. Looking at aspects of history that challenge things that you think about yourself, things that you think about the world that's around you. You go look for history, you seek it, you find it. And that's all on one timeline. There's no timeline that exists where we're not free. There's no timeline that exists where my family's not slaves. That's one timeline. And we can't choose what we get to look at and what we don't. And that's for you and your family. No matter what it is, look at it, embrace it, learn from it. I said, I never had a black history teacher. Now I go around to schools teaching history to any kid that wants to learn it. And even if they don't, I make sure they're interested by the time we're done. But I don't want to be a teacher. I just want to be what I am. Discovering things one thing at a time. Oh, my buttons are messed up. Not quite as smooth as I planned, but don't worry. We'll get it figured out. Now this shirt, look at it while I'm doing this so you get a good chance to see what's going on here. It's from Gas City, Indiana. Anybody know about Gas City? Look at this mess. Here we go. Anybody know about Gas City, Indiana? It's around like up here, northern Indiana. One of the first like dedicated history stories I did. I drove up there by myself. I went up there originally to talk about James Dean in Grant County, but I thought Gas City was cool enough. So I go up there. I learned that Indiana once had the largest natural gas boom in the country. It was huge, like late 1880s. And actually, where's my OJ? This gas boom is actually going to lead to the Ball brothers moving from Buffalo, New York to Muncie area, start making glass. There's had so much gas, they'd light the town up all night. They said roosters didn't know when it was day or night. So all these companies moved there. You know the Kokomo, Northern Indiana area, a lot of glass blowing factories. They had free gas, unlimited gas. They didn't know they had it. Check this out. When they first found it, they thought that they had discovered hell. You're digging down, you hit something that's real hot underneath, you just fill it up. Like, what the heck was that? What the hell, right? They learned later this valuable resource they had found. But they wasted it so quickly at all those gas boom towns. This guy, the city was called Harrisburg. He changed the name of his town to Gas City. So people, come here, we got it. If you want it, we got it. This is Gas City. We got it. But they burned through it, 20 years. They didn't know they had it, and they didn't know they were wasting it until it was gone. This shirt reminds me of that. I designed it myself. There's resources within you, just like there are within Indiana, that are beyond valuable, that you should want to share, should want to cherish. We could be using them right now. You could be using them right now. You could be finding them right now. You could be wasting them right now. Just like what we've learned through Indiana's history. Look for the resources that you have within you, around you. And don't burn it all up. Make it stretch for as long as it fucking can.